So I just came to the realization Legend ZA won't have regional forms. Let me explain. So it's Legend ZA is not connected to Legends Arceus. It's connected to X and Y. Well, X and Y was following the main timeline of the mainline games all the way up until that point. So when they created Megas, that was just a new gimmick. It wasn't until Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire did they have the split timeline. That's why you have Megas in Hoenn when they didn't exist in Hoenn in the first games with Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. The reason you can't have regionals now is because unless you're going to make essentially a third timeline in the series, so you'd have the mainline games all the way up until Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, right? And then you have the timeline when there's no megas, and then you'd have another timeline where Kalos has regional forms, but they never existed to begin with. Unless they're making this a third timeline in the main series, that's the only way to have regional forms. Because you got to remember, Legend ZA is set in the future. It's not a past game. It's a game set in the future. The only way you would have regional forms in the future is if you had them in the past and they lived long enough to exist in the present. Because regional forms are essentially extinct, I guess, extinct breeds of those Pokemon. So, like, the reason there's no, you know, there's no Hisuian, like Typhlosion is because I guess it died out at some point between, current day and in the past. So it doesn't make any sense to have regional forms unless Game Freak is going to make a third timeline that connects the games to Legends Arceus and connects the games to X and Y. And I feel that's all. I don't know. That seems like a lot of lore. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, that kind of popped into my head. Uh, yeah. Shout out to Soul Story Mode for the inspiration for this video. But yeah, Legend ZA will not have regional forms.